Welcome everybody to our open enrollment meeting through the Zoom webinar feature. Allison Greiner is with us from Instructional, and she's going to be leading us through. We'll probably have everybody on mute so there's not a lot of background noise. And then at the end, write down any questions as you go, and we'll try to catch those, or we'll stop maybe after the sections. We'll just kind of see. It depends on how many people are on the call. Thank you, Allison.
Wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Lorianne. As she said, my name is Allison, and I'm here from BPA Troxel. We are partners with ESSClean on your employee benefits, so your health insurance, all of the other lines that ESS offers you as an employee. And today we're just going to go through the Employee Navigator site that each of you will have to log in and make your annual open enrollment benefit elections again this year. You should have received an email from Lorianne and the Employee Navigator site that has listed the dates that the site will be available for you to log in.
That would have actually been the Office Manager at ESSClean email. So if you didn't notice it, be sure to check your spam filter, your junk, etc., just in case. That was sent, I think, on the 24th.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
So, yep, last Wednesday, the 24th. And the benefit election period will run. It opened this morning, so you should be able to log in to your Employee Navigator site now, and it'll be available through 11:59 p.m. next Thursday, February 7th of 2019. So you have 10 days from now, including today, to go into the site and make all of your enrollment elections for this year. So that being said, if you have already logged in previously or this past year when we introduced Employee Navigator, use that same username and password so that you can access the benefits. It's the same site that if you had any questions throughout the year or you went into the Employee Navigator to look up any information, it's that same site. When you log in, if you're looking at the screen that we have shared with you for this video, you'll see the equivalent of your employee homepage, and that should look very familiar to you. On the top section, it will say you have one item to complete, and that's your annual open enrollment benefit elections for this year. So we'll start by taking a look at this site and walking through. And in order to complete your open enrollment, you're going to click on the Finish Enrollment green button right on that home page. So let's take a look. The first page here will give you a little bit of information on how to complete the process. So we recommend reading through this so that you have a little bit of an idea of the next steps that will come throughout this process. And from here, click the Get Started button, and it'll take you directly to your personal information page. Because you've logged in and we've used this site in the past, it should save all of the information that you have previously input. But it's really important that this year at open enrollment, this is your opportunity to go in, verify the information is still accurate, and make any necessary changes.
We may have a few people on the call who started in the last few months, and this may be your first time getting on the site, since if your effective date was 3/1 or after, you didn't have access to all of this. So yeah, it may look just slightly different for you, but most everything should be the same. You'll just probably have more information right here on personal information to fill in than what Allison already has in there. Part of it will be in there, but you'll want to add some stuff.
Yeah, and just take a look at it, verify anything that is already input is accurate, or make any changes. If it's missing any of the information, go ahead and add it here before you hit Save and Continue, and you move on through the process. The next page is dependent information, and although you may not enroll your spouse or dependent children onto the plans, I would recommend that you add them here at this stage of the process, because any information here you'll be able to auto drop down and select for beneficiaries and further on throughout the progress. So go ahead, add some dependent information here if you have any spouse or dependents that you're going to either enroll into any of the plans, or you will be electing as a beneficiary on any of the benefits. Similar to your personal information, I would recommend going in to any dependent that you already have loaded here and just verify the information is accurate as well. So as long as it's all correct, you've added anyone you wanted to include, go ahead and hit save and continue again. The first benefit that is outlined throughout this Employee Navigator process is your medical benefit with Health Alliance. None of the benefits themselves are changing for any of the plans. We're staying with the same carriers, the same plan designs, but at open enrollment this year, you will see that it's your opportunity to change any dependents or spouse that you have covered on your plan, or if you would like to remove any, you can select who you are enrolling by clicking any of the people that you've already enrolled or listed as a dependent on the previous page, forgive me. So here, you will see that it calculates your per pay period deduction. So this is your employee responsibility of the premium after ESSClean has contributed what they will be towards your monthly premium for all of the plans. If you are an Indiana-based employee, please note the red item at the top of the page. You will have to select the Indiana Employee Health Insurance application under Helpful Resources on the right-hand column. So you will have to complete that paper application, but by selecting that link, it'll populate the paper application itself. Please print it, complete it, and mail or email it directly to HR@ESSClean.
Lorianne at ESSClean, LORIANNE at ESSClean.com.
Wonderful. So from here, once you select who you would like to be enrolling into the plans, you'll see you can select all and include all of your spouse and dependents that you have already included on your dependent page, or you can select individually who you would like to enroll. In order to capture your benefit that you will like to enroll into the plan, you must select the plan so that it's highlighted in green. You'll see an enrollment question populates automatically, and it asks if you live and or work in the state of Indiana. By selecting no, complete done, and you'll move on to the next page. If you hit yes, it will tell you that you are not eligible to enroll into this plan. However, just as we discussed previously, you will complete the Indiana employee application, fill this out, and submit that to Lorianne.
Yeah. There's a special plan that's somewhat different that is through our Health Alliance plan. They just have a partnership with them for those who live in Indiana so that they can have a very full and quality network to work from for doctors that are in network.
Absolutely. So we'll select this plan just for the employee to be enrolled, and we'll hit save and continue. The next section is the consumer-directed health section, which is the HRA, or health reimbursement, that ESSClean contributes towards the deductible for your plan. So we have the first $1,500 of the deductible, just like last year, is the employee's responsibility to meet. And beyond that, ESSClean contributes the remaining $4,750 deductible up to the total deductible. It equals out to that $6,250. Except for,
we'll pull up this document for the overview, and Allison, you can probably explain that better than I can, how the buckets work. So it's except for co-payments.
Yes, so just on this page, which is available all year, there are expenses that are not reimbursed based on the HRA. So if you ever want to question, look at what those benefits are, it is listed here. So they are co-payments for things like your primary care physician, urgent care specialist, emergency room, and anything listed here. So those co-payments are not subject to that HRA, and that is the employee's responsibility as well. So all of the resources or flyers that you would traditionally get at this open enrollment meeting, if you're not here in person, you can access under Helpful Resources and these links at any time. So this also gives you a little bit of information here. And throughout the entire process, you will see for any of the benefits, this is included on every page as well. So just a little bit of information so that you see where you can access these helpful resources. Good? Yep. Okay. So we will save and continue because there is no per pay period contribution that you as the employees are responsible for. It is ESSClean contributes that $47.50 direct towards the deductible on your behalf.
Helps keep the premium more affordable. We're taking on more of the risk in the insurance company, and we've got a pretty good group, and this has really been a good way to go for all of us. It's helped keep our premiums more affordable all the way around, and your payroll deductions as well.
Absolutely. So we'll hit save and continue to move on to our dental benefit. Again, this plan is not changing at all. You will just see the slight increase on the per pay period contribution, and well, responsibility is you as the employee. So what ESSClean will deduct from your paycheck every single pay period will be the amount listed here on this Employee Navigator page based on who you elect to enroll into the benefit. So you can see the dental plan overview if you wanted to look at what the benefits are or the information here. So you can look at a plan summary, and then you can determine who you would like to enroll into the benefit. Similar to the medical benefit, you can select all, or you can individually select who you would like to include on your plan.
Do we want to talk about the value added benefit? That if they have a year where they don't really use it much except for the basics, and there's some money left, it's a bit of a formula, it rolls over to the next year. So it's easier to read through this and understand it than for me to try to find a way to verbalize what that means. Basically what it means, if you know, gosh, you know, I didn't use my dental plan much last year. I did my cleanings, I did my x-rays, but I've got a crown I've got to do this year. That means you probably have more money to put towards it than the typical $1,000 annual max benefit, because it's from year to year, and it goes on for, I think, a few years, depending on how you've used the plan, which is nice. So it helps give us a little bit of a higher ceiling on that maximum benefit if you've got a few years that are less expensive. So we were pretty excited to be able to add that. I believe last year was our first year to have that. So that document's there for you and available if you want to understand it better, and so that you can look at any documents you're getting from the dental company or from your dentist to make sure that the amounts that you're being told to pay are correct.
Yes, absolutely. So take a look at that policy link, dental and the vision plan benefit, a value add with the standard, which is the carrier that we partner with for your dental benefit. It's important to note on any of these pages, if you do not wish to enroll into that benefit, instead of selecting and saving and continuing, you will have to click the don't want this benefit and choose one of the reasons why you're declining that plan. So whether it be for cost or other, you might just not be interested, you would select one of those options, hit apply, and then you'll be able to save and continue and move forward. Our next benefit that we have is vision. So you'll see that it's the same carrier, the same plan, and we have the employee responsibility per pay period listed out right here. Very similar to medical and dental. You select who you would like to enroll. If you would like to pick the benefit, make sure you highlight it so that it is green. Right now, we'll just enroll myself as the employee, and we can save and continue. The next page you will see is the life benefit. It's important to note that there is no cost per pay period because this is a benefit that ESSClean pays in full on your behalf for being an affiliated employee of the company. So you have a $15,000 life insurance benefit. You'll see at no cost to you. So you do have information available to you along the right-hand column.
Go ahead and click on that.
Here?
The other one, yeah, that one. The only difference is if you're over a certain age, you'll see that does reduce the benefit, so be aware there. But for everybody up to the age of, I believe, 65, is $15,000. And it's intended to assist and help your family. There we go. See, at 65, it reduces to 65% of that amount. 70 reduces to 50%. So always good to have some life insurance so that you don't leave the financial burden to your family, especially burial and et cetera. At least is a nice amount to cover things like that. Not everybody has life insurance. It's not the cheapest thing to get.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So really important and a nice benefit from ESSClean to each of the eligible employees. So this is just basically a page throughout the process to have you recognize that it is a benefit that you are enrolled into, but there is no cost per pay period to you, and you can just hit save and continue.
And now it will have you do the beneficiary, because life insurance policy has to have one of those or more, one or more.
Absolutely, and it has to equal 100% of the benefit. So you'll see here, this is the section where it's important to note that when we added our beneficiaries on the second page, I believe, of this process, even though, you know, up to this point, we've not necessarily added any benefits or spouse to the plans, but you'll see when you add a beneficiary, the spouse and dependent children I had included their information throughout in the site. I can drop down and select who I would like to name the beneficiaries of this benefit in particular. So you can list a primary beneficiary. It has to equal 100%. So if you have, you know, multiple people, you can do 50-50. Just please note, if you have 3 and you take a 33% election, multiply that by 3, it only comes out to 99%. So you will have to, you know, take into consideration that 1% difference. It's a common thing that a lot of people do and they run into as an error when they're going throughout this site. So please note, it just has to come out to 100% of the benefit. So we'll save this.
Let's back up just a minute if we can on that. Something that I know kind of catches people is that when they see this, they get a little overwhelmed by all the information, thinking that you need all of that right now. And if you notice that not everything is asterisked here, so putting down as much as you can about the person is great. You may not have their social security number, you may not have their birth date, you may not have some of those things. Fill in what you can. Like get a phone number and a zip code and their full name. Just need to have some way to be able to identify who the person is and to be able to reach them and et cetera, should something happen. And we need to be able to get in contact, or the insurance company does, or somebody, you know, comes forward. You can always go back later and put more in, but just put as much as you can. But if you don't put anything in at all because you don't have all of it, you can't finish your enrollment. You have to have them added at least partially.
Correct, and it has to equal up to that 100%. Yeah. So even if you have 1, 2, 3 people listed, but it doesn't equal that full 100%, it will stop you and you will not be able to submit your final enrollment elections for any of the plans. So definitely put as much information as you can per, you know, Lorianne's comment, and she's absolutely right. So this is where you put in all the information that you have available. And again, the Employee Navigator site is available to you all year. So although we're completing our elections right now, you have access to this information throughout the year.
Yes, and you can change your beneficiary, not just updating their information, but if something changes and you need to change who your beneficiary is or in what order, you can go in here and do that at any time you like.
Yes, and the primary beneficiary is what is required, but the Employee Navigator site does give you the option of naming contingent beneficiary or beneficiaries, and you can do that by selecting, maybe instead of the spouse here for the contingent beneficiaries, you can name, I personally in here have 2 dependent children that I can do maybe 50%. Again, it will note that the allocation has to equal 100%. So we will add the second dependent as the other 50%, and you'll see that error message goes away because this equals 100%. And Lorianne is pointing up here to the top of the page, and it's important to note that right here. So
yeah, I think definitely in Illinois, and I'm not sure which other states, but if you are married, you cannot not name your spouse as a primary beneficiary unless they have signed off on some acknowledgement of this.
Yeah.
So in this state, you are required to name your spouse as the primary beneficiary unless you go through some other steps. So just know that.
Yeah.
That's what that's about right there.
Exactly. And it's listed right at the top of the page. So if you have any further questions, certainly let us know. But nice that they included that note so that you are aware that if you do have a spouse, you're required to name them as your primary beneficiary, that 100%, unless noted otherwise, and they've acknowledged that. So really a good idea to possibly list contingent beneficiaries at all in the event whomever you list as your primary beneficiary is no longer in the position to be able to accept that benefit. So once you have all of the information here that you would like to include for your beneficiaries, we'll hit continue. And this is your voluntary short-term disability page. So if you would like to enroll into this benefit, if you're not already, you can hit select. But please note that you will be required to complete a late applicant enrollment fee or a health statement. So we do have those listed under our helpful resources along the right-hand column. If you have had this benefit since you became eligible originally, you may want to consider keeping that because you are not required to complete that health statement if you take it upon initially becoming eligible. However, if there is a lapse or you cancel coverage in the middle of your employment period and you wish to re-enroll at a later date, you will be required to submit that again.
Yeah, and it's actually a lot of hoops. Sometimes it's multiple layers of paperwork and et cetera. So, and then there's a timeline in order to be able to get them back, or you kind of have to wait for the next open enrollment period and go at it again. So, yeah, your first time of being enrolled or have the option to enroll is your best time. And if you have it, keeping it is always a good idea. We just want to make sure people don't cancel it thinking they're saving some money on their deduction, later regret it, and then have a more difficult time getting back on or having more exclusions for longer, health exclusions, etc. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to call myself or Allison, and that's a voluntary short and long term.
Yeah.
And with both of those benefits, something to note is that they are post-tax. So that means that any payouts, should you need to use these and they approve and give you any payouts, it is not treated as income, although it is replacing income. It's kind of like if you were to total your car and you got a car insurance payment, you don't count that on your taxes as income. And so that means that even though it's saying like this person's benefit after approval is $480 a week or whatever that is, it's a certain 60% of your gross pay. But keep in mind, you won't be taking taxes out. You won't owe taxes during that time. And so it ends up being, if you had an approximate amount, closer to maybe 80% of what your take-home pay would be. Mm-hmm. So it's actually, it's a richer benefit than what it might appear when you just see that 60% when you consider the tax situation. So I just like to make sure everybody really understands that.
Absolutely. And we do have the detailed plan summary for this benefit. It's similar, located right here under the helpful resources. So you can select that and take a look at the benefit and what you're getting for that. So definitely important, take a look. And the benefit after approval, that's based on your specific income. So it's not to say that, this demo employee that we're walking through right now is going to be the amount that you are necessarily approved for or subject to, and that cost per pay period after the approved amount is approved. It will not necessarily reflect what yours is either. So when you're walking through the Employee Navigator site, it will be customized to reflect exactly what your benefit amount would be if you are approved and how much you are responsible per pay period.
Yeah, this is the only voluntary long-term and short-term are the only ones that are based both on your income and your age, and they fluctuate as either one of those change. That's how they come up with the benefit amount.
Mm-hmm. So if you would like this benefit, you can select it and hit save and continue, or maybe this is one of those benefits that you're just not interested in. You can apply that and we can move forward. You'll see the next section is voluntary long-term disability, and as Lorianne said, it's very similar, but instead of just being that short amount of time, this is the long-term disability option. So you can take a look at the detailed benefit overview under helpful resources, and it gives you a little bit more information on the specifics of this plan.
It picks up at 90 days. The other one is 13 weeks. This is 90 days. So basically, as one ends, this one begins. If you were to have both, the intention would be that one would roll into the next one as long as everything had been medically documented, submitted, and et cetera. And you would have to apply for both separately, even with the same condition. But again, those are questions. If something comes up that are specific, you're welcome to call myself or Allison, and we'll do what we can to help out.
Certainly. Yep, absolutely. So then just like our voluntary short-term disability page, the benefit amount that you would be approved for and the cost per pay period, should you be approved for this benefit, is going to reflect specifically what you would be responsible for. So when you're walking through the site and you're completing your elections, please make note of that so that you do see the amount that you are going to be responsible for. Once you've selected the benefits, you can save and continue, and it takes us to our flexible spending account. So for this year, if you're interested in payroll deducting any amounts to contribute into a flexible spending account, this is where you can make the determination or election on how much you would like taken out of each paycheck and put directly into a flexible spending account with ESSClean that they handle.
Yeah, keep in mind that we do opt for, and it's our choice as an employer because we want to help you have some comfort level in using it. We do offer the $500 rollover. It's not stated here. It might be on the guide or somewhere else. Probably should work on getting it added up there to the top, but we do set the limit at $2,000 annually, and then we do the $500 on the rollover. That means if you get to the end of the benefit year and you haven't used it all, then you'll be able to carry it over into the next year. So if you've never done flexible spending before, it's great because if you need a pair of glasses and your vision gives you a really good percentage off and you still have money left over, you can use it for that. You can use chiropractor, you can use it for prescriptions and co-pays and all sorts of things. It helps equalize what you're spending towards your medical and not have these like large out-of-pocket bills, because some of these things that services you go to use, you've got to pay up front the whole amount. They don't bill you later like happens sometimes, it's like the medical at the doctor when you have health insurance. So there's a whole list of things here, I think, on the guide, right, of different kind of items that you can buy with the FSA. There's also, BPC has an app on your phone, and that's how I do most of my interacting with my FSA, because I have a card that I can use for many things, but since we have an automatic feed that goes from our health insurance and our HRA, and BPC handles that, paying an actual doctor bill like to Christie Clinic versus the copay, that's something you'll submit. All you need to do is submit the bill, and they will reimburse you for that, but you don't actually have to have paid the bill yet. So you can actually submit that money in, get the money back from them, and then get that bill paid and not be out of that money out of pocket. But meanwhile, you've equalized, the same amount of money taken out of your check. And that money is available to you as soon as March 1st hits, whatever your amount is, that is available for you to use. So we're advancing that to you. We're taking a risk on helping you be able to have a little bit more even pay situation when it comes to that. And do know that the money you spend through your FSA is pre-tax dollars, which means it is lowering your tax burden at the end of the year for income tax. So you essentially you're saving 20 to 30% on that money that you put aside. It's a pretty good deal. If you're nervous and you haven't done it before and you're not sure how much you really do spend on all these different things that qualify for it, then you can start at $250 or $500. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, especially with the generous $500 rollover. So if you start at that amount or something lower than it, If you don't use it throughout this year, if you have a good year that you might not have a ton of expenses, then that will roll over into the next year and you wouldn't be subject to losing any of your FSA contribution. So something to keep in mind. If you would like to defer some of your pay into the flexible spending account, you can choose on this page if you would like an annual flat amount or a per pay. So you can actually, it'll end up being the same, but you can see how much you would be responsible for out of your paycheck. So if you take that $500 per annual total, that costs $19.23 per pay, and that is what ESSClean will be taking pre-tax.
Yeah, that's just to help you calculate what your payroll will look like and calculate it. No matter what, it's all divided out evenly amongst your paychecks throughout the year.
Yeah.
This is just a bit of a calculator to help you determine, do I want to calculate the total amount for the year that I want to save, and or, oh gosh, that might be more per check than what I think I can afford, and then you play around with it until you come up with an amount that you're really comfortable with.
Yeah, so if maybe you're comfortable and you can say, you know what, I can look at maybe $10 per paycheck, and that's an amount I'm comfortable with, the site will auto calculate and you'll see that that's $260 annually. So you can change this and see what $5, $20, you can defer to the maximum and see what it is.
Whoopsie, that was me. Having fun here. Okay, $650 annually, $25 per check.
Yeah, so you can take a look at that. If you would like the benefit, include how much you would like, whether it's annual or per pay, hit save and continue. And this brings us to our enrollment summary page. So this is a very important page. It is the last page that you have any, it's your last opportunity to take a look at all of the benefits that you've elected to enroll into or also declined. It shows you a full calculation of your total cost per pay period based on the benefits that you selected to enroll into. And it also shows your dependents and what plans you enrolled them into, and outlines all of the benefits here on one page. So really important, review this page in full in every detail so that you make sure you are electing to enroll into the benefits that you intend to and declining any of the benefits that you do not want to enroll into. Once you have reviewed this summary page, if you noticed anything that you would like to change, you can go under the Progress tab along the right of this page and then select on any of the benefits that you would like to make any adjustments for. If you do make any changes, make sure you hit Save and Continue on that page, and then it will auto-populate the next page, and you can hit Save and Continue throughout, or you can go back to View Steps and return directly to your enrollment summary and take a look at that again. Once you've reviewed all of this information, you will have to sign to complete enrollment, and you do so by clicking that green button to sign here. And now it is noted that you have acknowledged and are submitting your enrollment elections for this year's open enrollment. Even though, so today is technically the first day of our open enrollment being available, you do have through February 7th, next Thursday at 11:59 p.m. to come back, log into Employee Navigator and make any changes that you would like. For example, if I submitted all of my enrollment elections today, but tomorrow I was thinking about the dental benefit, and actually I would like to enroll into it. Just myself, I'm going to select that benefit, I'll save and continue, and then I can return to my enrollment summary, and because I've made changes to my initial submission, I will have to complete, sign again, and now I have an updated submitted enrollment for this year.
Right, and we on our end, this is Lorianne, on our end, we do not start doing anything administratively on our end or the broker's end until open enrollment has been closed. So we won't do anything until February 8th. And there is quite a bit when you think of how many, we have 80 to 90 full-time folks, so we've got all sorts of things to scramble around and do to make sure everything is ready to be audited and ready for our accountant and for payroll and et cetera. So that's why the date is long before March 1st because there's much to do between now and then. But during that period of time and until next Thursday at 11:59, we won't start anything. That way you are able to come back in and change things. And we absolutely love that we have this online opportunity and we don't have that big, huge packet of papers for those of you that have been with us for a few years that we used to have to send out, and forms that are a little bit more difficult and complex to understand what you needed to fill out and what you didn't. This is definitely much easier to use and more intuitive. But if you have any questions at all, don't be afraid to contact either Allison and I, and we'll be glad to help you through it.
Absolutely. So again, to Lorianne's point, any of your submitted enrollment, if you do make any changes throughout, the next week and a half, the only finalized enrollment is the last one that you submit that we will receive at the end of open enrollment. So don't hesitate if you've made some elections and you want to go in and make any changes, you're more than welcome, and this is available to do through next Thursday the 7th at 11:59 p.m. So I recommend printing your confirmation page and holding on to that so you have an idea of all the benefits, throughout the year if you have to go back in and review and take a look. The benefit summaries and the plan information will be available all year right here on the Employee Navigator site through ESSClean and the intranet. You can access it. That's accurate?
Yes, we have a page on our ESSClean website. We put that into the memo that we had sent out to everyone's email. If you go down to the very bottom of our ESSClean website, you'll see a spot that says Employee Portal, and if you click on that, the password is green, all lowercase, and we have some quick links to things like Employee Navigator, eHub, and then we also have some forms that you're able to print and use for like asking off for time, pay time or unpaid time, etc. So if you haven't visited yet, go ahead and take a look, and we're always making some upgrades and changes to that, so it's even better tool for you to use.
Absolutely. So hopefully this was a helpful sort of walkthrough of the Employee Navigator site, a nice reminder. We have been using this is our second year on Employee Navigator, so I'm hoping that you are familiar with it and have accessed it throughout the year. As Lorianne said, if you have any questions or you would like any additional information regarding any of the plans or Employee Navigator, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help. My direct phone line is listed directly on your Employee Navigator homepage when you log in. So feel free, give me a call. And Lorianne is also available and helpful and very knowledgeable. So thank you so much for your time, and appreciate you walking through the Employee Navigator site and completing your enrollment prior to next Thursday, February 7th at 11:59. Take care.